Hey, good afternoon everybody. Thanks for stopping back by and checking out another video, and please subscribe to our channel. So today I want to talk a couple minutes about molting chickens, why it happens and what you can do to help them. So chickens molt, well really to start out when they're very young, you have your fluffy little peep, and then it will, as it gets a little bit older, it starts popping out some feathers, and really that's the first molting process that a chicken goes through, going from its fluffy down to actual kind of baby feathers really. And then probably within another few weeks or so, it will go through another molting process where it kind of goes from those baby feathers to the adult feathers, I guess, maybe kind of like going from baby teeth to adult teeth. Now you might not really notice a whole lot going on with that because it happens very quickly. And it's not like you're going to come out one day and you're going to have a bald chicken. Basically, it kind of feels like you come out and the chicken goes from being a little fluffy thing to all of a sudden it's like, hey, it's got feathers. But once they get a little bit older, normally after their first year, they will start an annual molt. And this is where they start losing all of their feathers. Now, I've seen different things where some people have referred to it as, well, they're molting to get ready for winter. They're putting on a new fluffier, fuller winter jacket. I don't know if that's really the cause, since chickens originated in the tropics of Southeast Asia. They didn't necessarily have to get a warm jacket on for that. Really, it's part of the natural process where the chickens kind of replenish or regrow their feathers. They get rid of the old, dirty, broken ones and will grow a whole new set. And this will happen every year right around the fall. Now, it may seem kind of ridiculous that they would lose all their feathers right before the winter when they need to keep warm. But what happens is, as you know, as we go into fall and into winter, daylight hours shorten, days are much shorter, gets dark earlier. And the chickens, for their laying cycle, this is a good time for them to go from laying eggs to replenishing their feathers. Their body puts their energy into a different process. So it's normal. It's going to happen every fall. Some of your chickens are going to look like they blew up overnight. You're going to come out and they're going to look like a hot mess. I've got 3 or 4 chickens in here that are looking pretty rough the last week or so, and that is what's called a hard molt. And that's kind of where they just start blowing feathers all over the place very quickly. Then there's also a soft molt, which with that, it's a much slower process and it might not be as noticeable. I mean, Alice has got kind of a little bit of a mess going on right around her neck, but most of the rest of her body is pretty full. So she's going through a soft molt, and it's a longer, slower process, and she probably won't ever look that horrible with this molt this year. But some of the other ones, man, it's pretty horrible looking sometimes. But you don't have to worry. It's a normal process. Their bodies are now focusing more on replenishing their feathers. And what you will also notice is that they may stop laying eggs altogether, or you will get a very reduced amount of eggs that they are laying. What happens is that right now the body is focusing on putting all the energy into the molting and getting rid of the old feathers and growing the new ones, and that takes a lot of protein because their feathers are made up of about 80 to 85% protein. So they're focusing on putting the protein into growing the feathers, not into giving you eggs. Plus, eggs also require a lot of calcium on top of the protein that they also take. So there's less calcium and protein going towards egg laying and much more going into getting them a new coat of feathers. So what can you do to help this? As I mentioned, it takes a lot of protein for those feathers. So you want to increase the protein in their feed. Whether you do this by, giving them some meat table scraps, some treats every day like mealworms, sunflower seeds, peas, that kind of thing you can add in as well. Anything that's a chicken can eat, that's got some extra protein is going to be helpful. One thing that we've started doing here is we also add in the starter grower feed instead of the layer feed, because starter grower feed has a much higher calcium content. I think it's like protein content. I think it's like 20% or something like that, to kind of beef it up. And we mix that in with some of the other treats they get, like the mealworms or even just some of their daily scratch that we give them in the wintertime. So increase their protein. 2, when they are growing the new feathers, they're gonna be, the new pin feathers that are first coming in are kind of sensitive for the chicken. They might be a little sore. So if you're real big on hugging your chickens and handling them a lot, you want to be more careful during the molting time period, because they might be a little sore. Think about like if you had a bad sunburn and somebody came up and wanted to give you a big hug. You know, thanks for the love, bro, but keep it back for a little bit. So handle them gently if you need to handle them, or even give them a little space during this time. Love them from afar and maybe not so many hugs until they're done their molting process. A third thing is that, what is the third thing? Oh, keep their stress levels low if possible. This is not a time that you want to introduce new chickens to the flock. Try to keep their coop maybe cleaner than normal. You know, give them some extra fluff or whatever it is that you use in there. Make sure everything's cleaned out so they've got a clean, calm, relaxed environment that they can get through their molting process. How long is this going to take? Average is probably about 8 weeks. Some chickens can get through it in about 4 weeks. Others might take as long as 12 weeks. It seems that the chickens that go through the hard molt and look the worst and have the worst time with it actually get through it faster than those who do a slow molt, which takes a longer period of time as they're kind of shedding a feather here and there one by one until they get through the process. Also, if you are one that puts lights in your chicken coop to increase egg production in the winter, during a molting time, I would suggest turning that out or turning the lights off. Let nature take its course, because light is what helps the chicken's egg cycle continue, and their bodies right now are needing to go through a molting process. If you're throwing more light in there and they're going through molting, their body is trying to do both. You know, take care of producing feathers, all the new feathers, as well as getting eggs for you. You know, give them a little laycation, as it were. Let them be okay not laying eggs or giving you very few eggs until they're done molting. And then once the molting process is done, if you do use lights in your coop to extend your daytime, to increase the eggs, then once molting is done, you can go ahead and start turning the lights back on for them. Us here, we just let nature take its course. We don't add lights or anything, so we will get less eggs in the winter. But right now, I mean, we've got nine girls, and we're getting maybe 1 egg a day. If we're lucky, sometimes 2, and some days we don't get any because they're all kind of going through the molting process right now. But I think a couple of them are getting close to done, because this has already been going on for a couple weeks or more, depending on the chicken. Actually, Merle, our rooster, his started really early. His started probably a month and a half or more ago, maybe a couple months ago, and he's about done. Almost all of his feathers are all grown back in. He's starting to look like a normal chicken, but he even looked pretty rough there for a while. So that's about it on molting. You can help them out, like I said, with the protein, little TLC and extra cleaning, fresh water, and keeping them in a stress-free environment. They'll get through it and look like fluffy, healthy chickens again. So just be aware, if you are a new chicken owner or looking into getting chickens, that this is something that you could run into or that you most likely will run into every fall once you have a flock of chickens. Now, if it's outside of the normal molting time of the fall and you're seeing chickens that are molting in the middle of the summer or spring or at abnormal times, then there might be another issue going on, because chickens can also stress molt. So if they're having high stress, you know, they can start losing feathers. If they're not getting the right nutrients, they could start losing feathers. Or if there's some sort of illness or something like that, that can cause them to lose feathers as well. But normally that's going to happen outside of normal molting time. If you're coming out in the fall and your whole flock is kind of looking crazy and you got feathers all over the place, it's just molting season. So don't worry too much. So that's about it for the molting chicken episode. I hope that you all are having a great day, and whatever's going on in your neck of the woods, at your gardens and in your homesteads, I hope that everything is working out fantastic for you. Please stop by again and check out our channel, and we hope to see you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Namaste.